Hello.
Hey
Hey,
guys, good
Timothy.
evening.
Hi, Timothy. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
Super. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much. So, everyone, please welcome Timothy from FORE Protocol, who had joined us today for an AMA on the RocketX platform. We are glad to host you, Timothy, and super welcome.
Thank you. Timothea, but it's okay. A lot of people get my name wrong. But
I apologize. I apologize. So it's Timothy. Yeah.
no worries. I mean,
Understood. Understood.
I often get messages saying "Dear Sir," so it's an easy mistake. But really pleased to be here. Thank you guys for having me. Hopefully, one of my co-founders will be able to join. I think he's in should just If you be
Hmm.
able to give him speaking rights, that would be awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. We can definitely wait for them. If they are joining in,
Cool.
you can definitely, yeah, let us know. So
Awesome.
this is Cass here from RocketX, and I am handling the product and the BD side of things for RocketX. So just to introduce a bit about myself, and yep, whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah, cool. So I can see Merv is in here. I think if you can just please add at Merv Mazoog as a speaker, that would be great.
Okay,
Maybe he has to request as well. Great, there we
sure,
go.
sure.
Hey Merv.
Hey everyone, it's a pleasure to be with you today.
Hello, it's great. It's great to host you guys. Yep. So, should we wait for someone else or
No, that's it from our side, so we can get started whenever you guys are ready.
super, super, super. All right.
Well, as you introduced yourself, I guess Merv and I can start
Mm-hmm.
with a bit of background. I'll kick off. I'm Timothea, as we've now clarified, and and I'm one of the
Yeah.
co-founders of FORE. My background prior to joining this industry was specializing in marketing strategy, particularly
Mm-hmm.
within the fintech sector, so mostly payments and data. And I've
Mm-hmm.
spent the last 5 years or so within the DeFi space. Funny enough, a small world. I most recently I was chief marketing officer of a hybrid exchange aggregator.
Oh
Um,
wow.
similar proposition to RocketX, although I have to say you guys pulled it off way better. um, so yeah, I was with them from inception and helped get kind of within the top 100 market cap. So um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've learned a lot in that time. Left around 18 months ago to start FORE alongside my
Mm-hmm.
co-founders, one of whom, Merv, is with me today.
Okay. Super. That's great to hear.
And maybe I can jump in just with a quick introduction as well.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
name
Yeah.
is Merv. Also a co-founder at FORE Protocol.
Mm-hmm.
My background is more in traditional finance, so I came from the hedge fund and private equity world,
Oh wow.
and have been kind of active in blockchain and crypto in a variety of different capacities since about 2015. So I've seen
Mm-hmm.
lots of different cycles in the industry, but
Mm-hmm.
but really have kind of been dedicated in solving particular problems using blockchain technology for the last couple of years, alongside the co-founders here. So excited to tell you all about
Brilliant.
what we're working on.
Absolutely brilliant. So before jumping into
Synergy
the
actually
core questions.
between RocketX and FORE, beyond just decentralization. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
look forward to touching on that and sharing a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
on FORE with your community and some of ours, I can see.
Absolutely, absolutely. So definitely now that a few people have joined in, we can jump into the questions for Amy. So I'd like to start with what would be the core idea of FORE protocol? Like what exactly if you want to describe in a few words, what would be FORE protocol understood as for, someone who is new to crypto and what like will he be able to do with FORE protocol? That would be something that I would understand. I'd like to understand as well. So please.
Yeah, maybe I can start out there, and Timthea, feel free to jump in and fill any gaps that I miss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really the core concept behind FORE Protocol is, you know, it's essentially a goal to create incentive structures to bring real life data from, you know, let's say real world outcomes and things like that onto the blockchain, and doing that through very interesting and creative means. One of the first protocol that we're launching as part of FORE Protocol is called FORE Predict, and what FORE Predict is it's a peer-to-peer predictions market provider, and that allows users to create markets about future outcomes about an event. So that might be, you know, maybe what you know, will it rain in Barcelona, you know, at you know, on this day. You know, would be a potential example of, you know, an outcome that someone might want to make a prediction about. And so what FORE Predict allows for is the connection between these peer-to-peer users in the creation, participation, and validation of these markets. And it's unique in that, you know, traditionally when people look at predictions markets, it has been, you know, in a very centralized and rigid way. And really what we are trying to do and focus on is providing decentralized technology to the prediction market space, and then creating incentive structures that ultimately bridge, you know, data from the real world, in this case, you know, the weather in Barcelona in that example, and actually being able to bring that information on chain, you know, for further purposes. And I'm sure Timothy will touch on some of those. But I think that kind of summarizes it at a high level. Timothy, do you have anything you want to jump in with there?
Sure. Sorry, my internet jumped out for a bit. But I'm sure you covered a lot of ground there, Merv. But yeah, I think one of the key parts I just want to touch on or reinforce, if Merv already referenced it, is the people-powered nature of it. What does that mean, and why does that really matter? Because I mean, there's a lot of taglines and jargon in the industry, but I want to really explain what that means. So, as Merv said, you know, prediction markets are, as most industries are, monopolized by centralized entities that dictate the rules, but most importantly, capture all of the value generated. Typically, I mean, if you look at Vegas, for example, a very well-known example of a prediction market, they saw record profits last year, and at the same time, users saw record losses. And you know, it's simple, because for them to profit, users need to lose. The house always wins for a reason, right? So you know, when you're participating in these prediction markets, whether it be a casino or you know, bookmaker or even options trading, you're participating against these huge centralized entities that profit off you losing. So really the only way that we saw forward was in order to disrupt this industry was to get rid of the house, and that's what we've done. So you know, FORE is not a predictions market in itself. It's simply a set of smart contracts that enables the user creation, participation, and validation of prediction markets. So it's an entirely people-powered ecosystem. We have no control over it in the sense that we are not creating markets nor validating them. So I think it's a really, I mean, for me, it's the first time that anyone has done this, where it's, you know, people-powered end-to-end, and most importantly, users are rewarded for this activity through the redistribution of half the platform fees.
Okay. Pretty cool. The concept is definitely pretty cool. So, just like while I was going to the website, I found their sports politics. So, people like the users would be able to predict or make their bets onto any of those topics mentioned there. Is it something like that?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a kind of a saying: you can find it all on FORE, or create it if you don't. So if you're going to look for, I mean, say in Vietnam, for example, they love badminton, and let's say you're looking for a market on badminton, but a traditional bookmaker may not offer that, depending on where you are in the world. You could either find that on FORE, or you could create the market yourself and then earn a percentage of the rewards from that market.
Okay, pretty interesting. That's something the space was in need of from a long time. Definitely amazing stuff. So coming to the core point again, as you mentioned, how FORE works for our users, what is the exact problem that FORE is trying to solve? Is it because of the restrictive nature of a few countries, or what exactly was, the main thought behind this enabling such a feature for the users?
Well, I think both Merv and I will have kind of different elements to touch on here. I can jump in first, but I think
Mm-hmm,
ultimately, if you take a look at predictions, the concept of taking a position on an outcome
mm-hmm,
is not inherently bad. But if
mm-hmm,
you, I mean, but there's such a stigma around the concept of predictions, or I'm going to say gambling, although we're not a gambling platform.
mm-hmm,
But why is that? It's because of these centralized entities who are, doing everything they can to extract as much
mm-hmm,
value from you as possible. Hidden fees, predetermined odds, and it's not too dissimilar to centralization in the crypto space.
mm-hmm,
It's more heavily regulated, so you don't have an FTX of casino worlds, for example. But really, the
mm-hmm,
objectives of these centralized entities remain the same: get users in, extract as much value from them as possible, and then hold on to
mm-hmm.
their funds for as long as you possibly can. So really, it's the centralization that we set about wanting to tackle, because there's a huge opportunity here. Despite all of this kind of bad practices by these entities,
Mm-hmm.
people still want to participate. Despite a recession, the online betting market is expected to reach upwards of 100 billion by 2028. So
Mm-hmm.
there is a user demand here,
Mm-hmm.
and we think a huge opportunity to disrupt an industry that has been built on the exploitation of users, and shift it to be actually for users to be able to share in that growing value.
Amazing. That's something pretty cool as a perspective. Yep.
Yeah, if I could just jump in and add another layer to that, and I completely agree with Timothy. I mean, ultimately, the problem that we're trying to solve is you have a lot of centralized entities that,
Mm-hmm.
that basically create, well, at least in the prediction market space, centralized entities who,
Mm-hmm.
are taking a lot of the value from
Right.
that ecosystem, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so the whole idea is, how do we invert the incentive structure to
Mm-hmm.
remove that centralized entity, but redistribute the value that otherwise would have gone to that centralized entity to the
Mm-hmm.
other participants of the protocol,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's just this redistribution in a very decentralized, peer-to-peer and people-powered manner, which
Right.
really has never existed in the space before. And the way that we see it
Mm-hmm.
is, to kind of bring it full circle, we started out talking about, how do we bring real
Right.
world data on chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now when we're talking about prediction markets, when we have, users who are creating markets about, things that they're fascinated about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of other people, let's say, are participating in that. Well, they're voting in the interest of that topic, right?
Right.
And then that becomes, a very valuable, a data point, essentially, in terms of, uh, the general sentiment, right,
Yep.
related to that topic. And then not only that, it becomes almost, you can get a better understanding in terms of the composition of those opinions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So will it rain? Will it rain in Barcelona? By this
Mm-hmm.
time, on this day. Right now we have a certain
Mm-hmm.
level of interest. Now we know there are a certain number of people that
Mm-hmm.
might be interested in participating in those markets. But
Mm-hmm.
we also know the proportion that 10% of people said no to
Mm-hmm.
that answer,
Mm-hmm.
and 90% said yes. So inherent in that information says a lot, and then we're able to actually
Mm-hmm.
uh, use that information to power logic and other smart contracts. So it essentially becomes a people-powered oracle by
Mm-hmm.
virtue of creating this decentralized architecture and structure. So that's ultimately what we're looking to do, and that's how we're viewing FORE Protocol, as really the first people-powered
Mm-hmm.
and decentralized oracle that uses participation,
Mm-hmm.
to bring this data on chain.
Brilliant.
If I can just
Yeah. Yeah.
expand on that as well, I think a great example of what Merv just mentioned is
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the crypto space, for example, so someone could use something like FORE.
Mm-hmm.
If they hold a particular asset, they can hedge and risk manage
Absolutely.
basically if they and bet against the assets they hold. But then the secondary
Mm-hmm.
value there is you're then understanding people's view on the future price of assets. How do
Indeed.
you utilize that data? So I think there's and then we can capture data like that
Mm-hmm.
across so many different segments. So I feel like that in itself becomes a product. Well, it will be further down the line. So
Absolutely, absolutely. People would always like to, or want to maybe hedge their positions in order to make maximum profit and minimum loss. So definitely that's something
exactly.
really brilliant. And I'm assuming that for the name for the project is coming on the basis of forecast, right? Something to forecast or maybe to, and the idea behind is to hedge is coming from Merv because he had an experience in equities and hedge funds. So definitely this is something really very interesting to note about it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, the name FORE came from initially FORE token, which is
mhm,
to foresee, to predict. So yeah,
absolutely,
absolutely.
indeed, indeed, amazing. So, coming to the next one, as you guys mentioned, the core idea behind it. So, like, what audience are you guys targeting, and are there any plans to acquire those audiences? Is there any specific demographics that you're targeting, or maybe a few filters that you could mention? Anything it could be. If you can just brief about it, that would be amazing.
hmm Yeah, I can jump in first. So, I mean, as we've touched on, I think there's a almost limitless number of audiences that we could tap into. But
Mm-hmm.
I think why other DeFi prediction markets haven't succeeded
Mm-hmm.
or haven't gained kind of real penetration is because, among other things, their messaging was too broad and people didn't really understand the concept of a prediction platform where you can find or create a market on anything. I think for a lot of people, it's still,
Mm-hmm.
they can't necessarily wrap their head around it. So,
Mm-hmm.
while our primary target audience right now ahead of mainnet is DeFi native so that we can build our core infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
The player, the one who's participating in the market is the one who brings in the revenue. So, but that said,
Mm-hmm.
without the creators, there's no markets for these players to participate in.
Mm-hmm.
And without the validators, these markets would go unresolved and payouts would be halted.
Yep.
So we're targeting DeFi natives initially because they're already aware of revenue generating activity
Mm-hmm.
in order to support an ecosystem. So we're providing another means of really reward revenue generation by becoming the architects
Mm-hmm.
of the ecosystem. Then following that, obviously we need to bring in players into the ecosystem. So from mainnet launch, we'll be focusing on acquiring these users across different sectors. I mean, sports, politics, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
different avenues that we can go down. And for us, it'll be, it's really important to have an understanding of the data that drives that,
Mm-hmm.
understanding the specific audiences,
Mm-hmm.
the specific markets that they need, and have very kind of tailored messaging to that. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in short, that's kind of our audiences. But I also think another reason
Mm-hmm.
to why DeFi prediction markets haven't really captured market share as well is because of the difficulty in accessing these platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So they're stuck basically with just DeFi users, and we know that obviously that's expanding, but to gain kind of mass adoption, you need to be able to have a simple interface that people can understand and connect to.
Indeed. Yep.
So yeah, so I mean that's also why I'm excited about our partnership with
Mm-hmm.
RocketX, because I feel like together we can build
Mm-hmm.
a kind of more seamless onboarding into the DeFi space, particularly within the FORE ecosystem. But I think that's going to be critical to our success is being able to not only provide a platform that enables people to participate in any kind of market, but to do so in a really simple way.
Right. Super. Okay, understood. Amazing again. So definitely, helps us understand more about it. And coming on to the next one, like now that we have, a FORE token listed on RocketX, can you also mention some token utilities for FORE token?
Yeah, sure. I can jump in on that.
Super.
So really, the way that we've designed the FORE Predict product is around
Mm-hmm.
utilizing the ERC20 token to basically underlie and underpin all of the transactions that are taking place on the protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So that includes the creation of markets, the settlement of markets,
Mm-hmm.
and the related payouts, but also the distribution of rewards to users.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, the way that we see it is, the key benefit, of holding and participating in this community is you get
Mm-hmm.
to participate in a growing ecosystem where rewards are distributed to users, based on,
Mm-hmm.
not just minting and distributing tokens, but actually, the value that they're bringing to the ecosystem
Mm-hmm.
and to the protocol. So everyone is essentially having a hand at building collectively, and everyone is benefiting from that. And furthermore,
Mm-hmm.
we have a deflationary mechanism that's basically removes tokens from circulation in
Mm-hmm.
proportion to the activity on the protocol. And so it creates another reason for users not only to hold
Mm-hmm.
the FORE token, but it's also beneficial for them to actually utilize it on the protocol. So in summary, not only can users participate in the creation,
Mm-hmm.
and participation of markets, on the platform, but they also
Mm-hmm.
are holding a deflationary token, who's
Wow.
ultimately designed to create incentives for everyone to participate more, and so it creates almost
Mm-hmm.
like a flywheel of activity, and we think that's very
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I think
That's wonderful. Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead, Timothy. Yeah.
I was just going to say a bit of a personal backstory on why we've been so focused on deflationary tokenomics.
Yeah.
Both Merv and I, prior to starting FORE,
Mm-hmm.
were it basically invested in a ton of. I don't know if anyone else did back in the DAO hype, like end of 2021. They've got
Mm-hmm.
APY was something like 66,000%, and even despite the fact that I've worked in the
Wow.
space for 5 years, despite the fact that Merv comes from a traditional finance traditional finance background, we still
Mm-hmm.
got sucked into the hype and the promises of all of these projects, and even
Yep.
though we knew that they couldn't be sustainable. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we set about to build FORE, we thought,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like you can't just continue to use the mint function. And basically, I mean, we've seen from a traditional finance standpoint with real world currencies that just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle to understand why so many projects in the space still employ that kind of tokenomics. So we were
Yep.
really focused on not only having a deflationary element to the token, but ensuring that it's built into the platform mechanics. Because a lot of projects as well use burns as arbitrary or gimmicky kind of
Correct.
I guess ways to get attention, ways to seek value for themselves. But for us, every single market that's created, a
Mm-hmm.
percentage of 1% of that FORE is burnt. Every single NFT that's minted, 100%
Mm-hmm.
of that FORE is burnt. Every
Wow.
dispute that's raised,
Mm-hmm.
10 FORE is burnt. So pretty much every single function on the protocol has a deflationary element built into it.
Understood. That's pretty amazing again. I hope our users have taken a note of it.
Yeah, hope so.
Yes, definitely. So, more keen to learn, on what should be coming next to FORE. Like, what should be our roadmap? You can explain it anything as you like, maybe in the short term, in the long term, because
Mhm.
the token utility is definitely very interesting, and the deflationary as you mentioned, the tokens are deflationary, and it would be having a burning mechanism inherently. So that
Yeah, so
tokens, take a note.
yeah, I mean, for the token to work as intended, I mean, we need to have our mainnet right live, and all of the kind of deflationary mechanics are tied to the mainnet. So we are awaiting the completion of our audit. We're super excited to be able to get have FORE Predict live. We had a really successful testnet. To the point where we still have users in the community saying they miss making markets. And bearing in mind that this is the testnet, people, when there was no real funds on there, it's fake FORE, but people really enjoyed being able to create markets, validate, talk to each other around it, and it became a very social thing as well. So yeah, super excited to have that live. Very soon, as soon as we complete the audit. But that's really is just the start. We have always wanted to build with the community, and that's why our testnet was so important to us. I think so many projects just build something that they like and that they think will work, rather than one, listening to their community, and two, understanding the actual data, what is being used and why. So, after the launch of mainnet, that we will continue to iterate. There's a ton of new kind of market structures that we'll be deploying based on user feedback. So whether it's like categoricals, floating point, parlay markets, like all of this, pretty much everything in our roadmap has been requested by our users. And as we scale and require more users, that will only grow. So I'm really excited for that. But kind of key milestones after launch, beyond iterating on the platform, the fiat on-ramp, launching some of our real-world partners and sponsorships, which I'm really excited for, new chain integrations. Obviously, we plan to be, our goal is to be chain agnostic. We've already integrated 3 chains into the platform before launch, and we will definitely be integrating a lot more as over the coming years. And again, this is where I think RocketX is an important partner for us, because as we mint FORE on additional chains, and as we open up FORE Predict on different chains, I think it's important for us to be able to have one place in which someone can buy, trade FORE on not only on different exchanges but different chains too. So excited for that. And then for the next kind of logical milestone after that is a mobile app. The way that we've kind of modeled FORE is for it to be people using it in real time. A lot of markets were very within the day, or even just before a game. So we want people to be able to do it, be able to participate kind of on the move. So I think a mobile app will be great for accessibility as well as expansion. And then the expansion of the FORE ecosystem itself. So what we touched on earlier, being able to use the data that we are kind of aggregating from the predictions, from FORE Predict itself, and then how do we use that data to kind of inform a number of other kind of solutions for different businesses. So the creation of an Oracle, a data insight tool. So a lot to come, and that's kind of over the next couple of years. So yeah, we've got some sleepless nights ahead of us, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we lost the moderator there, but I agree. I mean, I think the roadmap that we have ahead of us is really exciting. One thing I just kind of want to touch upon is with the RocketX partnership. I think we have a unique opportunity here, to bring an early and interesting project to your users, and also to have them, as you mentioned, potentially find innovative solutions using both platforms. So that could potentially look something like maybe it's you have some type of long position you know, and you're looking for the best execution. So you go to RocketX to basically identify, you know, where you can get the best pricing, but maybe you want to protect your downside, and maybe you do that by creating a market, you know, related to the price action, you know, of that asset on FORE Predict. And so in some ways, you're kind of able to, you know, not only kind of have that upside, but also maybe potentially manage your downside, and while earning, you know, rewards, you know, for
Mm-hmm.
participation. So it's a really interesting, you know, potential, you know, solution for, you know, what I think is a really exciting partnership, and one that will be, you know, kind of very fruitful for, you know, all the users here and in our communities collectively in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, apologies, there was some technical glitches, but definitely, I very much, fancy the perspective shared by Timothea and more of you as well. Indeed, it will be very fruitful in the coming future as FORE is developing something really cool, and that, does not have any boundaries or limitations, which comes into the same category as of RocketX. And, we are more than happy to collaborate, and definitely I hope all the users of RocketX and the FORE protocol are here and listening to us, listening to this wonderful, insightful session by Timothea and Murph, which would be definitely helpful in the coming future. And again, I, very much like the excellent views that were shared by Timothea. I hope everyone has taken a note of. Indeed, it is something good. And again, coming to the last one, I would like to know and understand from you that how can RocketX users get involved into FORE at this moment right now? So, what would be your suggestions for this moment?
Great question. Well, I mean, I can jump in here. Firstly, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
RocketX, well, FORE is now available for trading on RocketX. So we recently just launched on MEXC and Uniswap, and now users can gain access to both liquidity sources in one place and obviously get the best price. But beyond that as well, we've got a trading competition going on. So anyone who does trade for upwards of $100 before Sunday, you can enter our trading competition. So, but all of that is great to bring new users and kind of gather some excitement. But I'd really love for the RocketX community to become more involved in FORE, start learning about what we're building, both kind of separately and collectively. So if you guys want to join our communities, follow us on socials. We have an awesome team, if I do say so myself, an awesome community. Everyone's always super helpful, really communicative, and I feel like we've got so much kind of materials for people to learn from. So as we get ready for mainnet, I would love, I'd love to show you guys kind of what we've built and have you be a part of what we're building.
Super. That's amazing. Again, I hope that everyone is listening to this, and FORE Protocol is really a helpful community. If you guys get there, please hop into their Telegram and other social media channels. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. They are definitely always 24/7 on to help you out. And indeed, it is great to learn about FORE. So definitely we are more than happy to host you and learn more about FORE. This was definitely insightful. I thank you, Timothea and Mer, for giving us your time, and thank you so much, the listeners as well. I hope we have learned something about FORE Protocol and a little bit about RocketX from here. We look forward to for the collaboration and the long-term strategic partnership that we are gotten into now. Indeed, I would myself try out the FORE Protocol application right away after this space. And again, thank you so much for
Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Thanks everyone.
Absolutely.
Take care. Have a nice day or evening wherever you are in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Timothea and Mer. Have a great day ahead.
Guys. Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Bye bye.